Now to the Middle East, where Israel's military says it will retaliate after Iran and its proxies launched an attack of missiles and drones over the weekend. Iran was responding after a suspected Israeli airstrike hit an Iranian consulate in Syria earlier this month, killing 2 generals. Our Debora Patta is in Israel with more on the potential next steps.
A fiery display of Iran's aerial might choreographed for maximum effect, resulting in minimal damage. More than 300 projectiles were launched. First came over 170 drones and 30 cruise missiles, all shot down before reaching Israel, with help from U.S. aircraft in Jordan and Saudi Arabia that took out nearly 80 drones. Then came 120 ballistic missiles. Around half failed to launch or crashed in flight. Only 5 pierced through Israel's powerful air defense system, causing minor damage to a military base. Israel's war cabinet favors retaliation, but differs on timing and scale, while the Israel Defense Force is on standby. We are weighing our steps, IDF Chief Herzi Halevi said. The launch of so many missiles and drones towards Israel will be responded to. The attack has triggered global calls for restraint.
It's time to step back from the brink.
Under pressure at home, critics of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu question whether he's the right person to make such a critical decision.
So if you ask me if Netanyahu is a risk to the state of Israel, my opinion is yes.
Retired 2-star IDF General Nimrod Sheffer says Netanyahu has a vested interest in prolonging both the war in Gaza and escalating the conflict with Iran in order to stay in power.
If you're retaliating just to show that you're strong enough, it's a wrong idea. It's a wrong strategy.
Sheffer told us Israel could respond with a cyber attack, a targeted strike, or hitting an Iranian proxy like Hezbollah. But he believes the best course of action is not to retaliate, as Israel has already won by demonstrating its powerful defense capabilities. John?
Debora Patta in Jerusalem. Thank you. For more on the United States' role in all of this, Weijia Jiang joins us from the White House. Weijia, the real concern, of course, in the administration must be the question of keeping this from escalating into a bigger conflict. What are you hearing about how nervous they are about that and what can be done?
Well, John, it is pretty clear that Israel intends to respond in some fashion. But the big question now is what it plans to do in order to achieve that. Of course, there's very little that the White House and President Biden can do to try to influence Netanyahu, except to turn up the pressure. And we know that over the weekend, when Biden and Netanyahu spoke on the phone, he told the prime minister to be very careful, to really think about this strategically and consider the risk of escalation, because that is the big concern here, that there will be some kind of misstep and this war will widen. We also know, John, that the president explicitly told Netanyahu that if there were going to be a reprisal strike, that the U.S. would not be involved in that.
And you asked National Security Spokesman John Kirby if there will be consequences for Iran. Let's listen to that exchange.
We have seen swift condemnations about what Iran did from the international community, and we're going to be working with international partners to work up options to hold Iran appropriately accountable.
Work up options. What are those options?
Well, there really is just one option, one type of option, John, and that is sanctions on Iran. And we know that the president convened a phone call with other leaders of the G7 to talk about those and how wide-ranging they may be. But because they are choosing, of course, to use this diplomatic route, because, again, they do not want to escalate the conflict any broader, they have to think about how they can do that in this way, which really in the past we've seen hasn't had that much of an impact on Iran, which is the trouble here with trying to lay out consequences for Tehran. As far as other options, the administration has not signaled what else is on the table, but that certainly is their best bet at this time.
Weijia Jiang for us at the White House. Thank you so much.